A Pictish stone is a type of monumental stele, generally carved or incised with symbols or designs. A few have ogham inscriptions, located in Scotland, mostly north of the Clyde-Forth line and on the eastern side of the country. These stones are the most visible remaining evidence of the Picts and are thought to date from the 6th to 9th century, a period during which the Picts became Christianized. The earlier stones have no parallels from the rest of the British Isles, but the later forms are variations within a wider insular tradition of monumental stones such as high crosses. About 350 objects classified as Pictish stones have survived, the earlier examples of which hold by far the greatest number of surviving examples of the mysterious Pictish symbols, which have long intrigued scholars. Classification. In the early Christian monuments of Scotland, J. Romilly Allen and Joseph Anderson first classified Pictish stones into three groups. Critics have noted weaknesses in this system, but it is widely known and still used in the field. In particular, the classification may be misleading for the many incomplete stones. Allen and Anderson regarded the classes as coming from distinct periods in sequence, but it is now clear that there was a considerable period when both Class 1 and 2 stones were being produced. Class 1, unworked stones with symbols only incised. There is no cross on either side. Class 1 stones date back to the 6th, 7th and 8th century. Class 2 stones of more or less rectangular shape with a large cross and symbol on one or both sides. The symbols, as well as Christian motifs, are carved in relief and the cross with its surroundings is filled with designs. Class 2 stones date from the 8th and 9th century. Class 3. These stones feature no idiomatic Pictish symbols. The stones can be cross slabs, recumbent grave markers, freestanding crosses, and composite stone shrines. They originate in the 8th and 9th century. Historic Scotland describes this class as too simplistic, and says, nowadays this is not considered a useful category. A surviving fragment may belong to a monument that did include Christian imagery. Later Scottish stones merge into wider medieval British and European traditions. Purpose and meaning. The purpose and meaning of the stones are only slightly understood, and the various theories proposed for the early Class 1 symbol stones, that considered to mostly predate the spread of Christianity to the Picts, are essentially speculative. Many later Christian stones from Class 2 and Class 3 fall more easily into recognizable categories such as gravestones. The earlier symbol stones may have served as personal memorials or territorial markers, with symbols for individual names, clans, lineages or kindreds, although there are several other theories and proposed explanations of the meanings of the symbols. A small number of Pictish stones have been found associated with burials, but most are not in their original locations. Some later stones may also have marked tribal or lineage territories. Some were reused for other purposes, such as the two Congash stones near Grantown-on-Spey, now placed as portal stones for an old graveyard. The shaft of an old cross is lying in the field. Another Pictish stone, the Dunacton stone near Concraig, was later used as a door lintel in a barn. This was discovered when the building was dismantled in 1870. The stone was re-erected in the field. Recently it fell, after being photographed in 2007, but was re-erected again a few years later by the owner of Dunacton Lodge. Class 1 and 2 stones contain symbols from a recognizable set of standard ideograms, many unique to Pictish art, which are known as the Pictish symbols. The exact number of distinct Pictish symbols is uncertain, as there is some debate as to what constitutes a Pictish symbol, and whether whether some varied forms should be counted together as separately. The more inclusive estimates are in excess of 60 different symbols, but a more typical estimate is around 30, or around 40 according to Historic Scotland. These include geometric symbols which have been assigned descriptive names by researchers such as crescent, V-rod, double disc and Z-rod, mirror and comb, triple disc, and outline representations of animals such as the adder, salmon, wolf, stag, eagle, as well as the apparently mythical Pictish beast, perhaps intended as a sea monster. There are also representations of everyday objects such as the mirror and comb, which could have been used by high-status Picts. The symbols are almost always arranged in pairs or sets of pairs, often with the object type, such as the mirror and comb, below the others. Hence the thinking they could represent names, lineage or kindred. According to Anthony Jackson, the symbol pairs represent matrilineal marriage alliances. The animal group are generally only found in combination with the abstract types. The symbols are found on some of the extremely rare survivals of Pictish jewelry, such as the pair of silver plaques from the Norreys Law hoard found in Fife in the early 19th century, and the white clue chain. The symbols are also sometimes found on other movable objects like small stone discs and bones, mostly from the Northern Isles. Simple or early forms of the symbols are carved on the walls of coastal caves at East Wemyss, Fife and Covesea, Moray. It is therefore thought likely that they were represented in other more perishable forms that have not survived in the archaeological record, perhaps including clothing and tattoos. Some symbols appear across the whole geographical range of the stones, while, for example, 6 stones with the single symbol of a bull found at Burghead Fort suggest that this represented the place itself or its owners. Despite other examples appearing elsewhere, a team from Exeter University, using mathematical analysis, have concluded that the symbols in the Pictish image stones exhibit the characteristics of written languages' characters. This claim has been criticized by linguists Mark Liberman and Richard Sproat on the grounds that the non-uniform distribution of symbols, taken to be evidence of writing, is little different from non-linguistic non-uniform distributions, and that the Exeter team are using a definition of writing broader than that used by linguists. To date, even those who propose that the symbols should be considered writing from this mathematical approach do not have a suggested decipherment. However, earlier studies based on a contextual approach drawing on the identification of the pagan pre-Christian Celtic cult of the Archer-Guardian have been able to suggest possible causal meanings for symbol pairs. Gallery of Symbols, a selection of the Pictish symbols, showing the variation between individual examples. Each group is classified as a single type by most researchers. Only the geometric and object types are represented here, not the animal group. Distribution and sites. Only a few stones still stand at their original sites. Most have been moved to museums or other protected sites. Some of the more notable individual examples and collections are listed below. Pictish symbol stones have been found throughout Scotland, although their original locations are concentrated largely in the northeast of the country in lowland areas, the Pictish heartland. During the period when the stones were being created, Christianity was spreading through Scotland from the west and the south, through the kingdoms of Dalriata, which included parts of Ireland, and the extension into modern Scotland of the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms of Bernicia and Northumbria. Areas that show particular concentrations include Strath-Tay, Strathmore, coastal Angus, Fife, Strath-Dee, Geary, Moray, Strathspey, Caithness, east to Ross, the Hebrides, Orkney and Shetland. 2 Pictish Class 1 stones are known to have been removed from Scotland. These are Burghead 5, showing the figure of a bull, now in the British Museum, and the Crosskirk stone, presented to the King of Denmark in the 19th century, but whose location is currently unknown. Class 1 Abelemno 1 Abelemno, Angus, boxed during winter months. A craw stain, a 6-foot-high Class 1 stone on top of a hill near Rhynie. A salmon and Pictish beast are carved on the south-facing side. Dunnican stone, a Class 1 stone found at Dunnican, Angus, now on display at the Methven Institute in Forfar. A replica stands at its former position in front of Dunnican Church. Tain and District Museum, Tain, Class 1 stone in the yard and fragments from Editon Churchyard and Nig in the museum. Inverness Museum, Castle Wynd, Inverness collection of 8 Class 1 stones, including the Ardros wolf and deer's head, and a fragment that matches a piece in Dunrobin Castle. Knocknagale Boar stone, Highland Council HQ, Glenurquhart Street, Inverness, Class 1 stone to be seen through a large window, found at Knocknagale on the outskirts of Inverness. Churchyard stone, Strathpeffer, Class 1 stone. Clackham Airlage Roskeen, Class 1 stone in a field. Tarbert Discovery Centre, Port Mahomet, large collection of excavated fragments and information about the Picts. Sharp stone, Editon, Class 1 stone in a field, viewable from the roadside. Kincardinal Church, Ardgay, coffin-shaped monument. Eagle stone, Strathpeffer, Class 1 stone. Toad stone, Tote on the Isle of Skye, Class 1 stone in small fenced enclosure. Class 2 Abelemno 2 in the churchyard at Abelemno, Angus. Boxed during winter months. Abelemno 3 at the roadside, Abelemno, Angus. Boxed during winter months. Drossen stone, rare example of a Pictish stone with an inscription in Latin text. At St Vigians, Angus. Dunfermline stone, Pitlochry, fine Class 2 stone. Easy stone, stands in the ruined church at Easy. Grome House Museum, Rosemarkie, collection of fragments of Pictish stones and a Class 2 cross slab. The museum also has a collection of photographs of Pictish stones in Scotland. Forden stone, in the vestibule of Forden Parish Church. Auchenblay there is a Class 2 Pictish cross slab which had been used as the base of the pulpit of the church of 1788. The face bears a Latin cross, part of a sea monster, a double disc and Z-rod, a hunting scene with 3 horsemen and dogs, and 2 inscriptions, one in Hiberno-Saxon minuscules and the other in ogham. Hilton of Cadboll stone, now in the National Museum, with a replica at the original site, one of the finest pictorial stones. Kirriemuir sculptured stones, now on display at the Methven Institute in Forfar. Maiden stone, at the roadside in Aberdeenshire. Boxed during winter months. Nig stone, Nig inside the former parish church, Class 2 cross slab. A fragment of it can be found in Tain Museum. Trustees Hill, near Anwath, Dumfries and Galloway, a series of Class 2 stones. Shandwick stone, Shandwick, Class 2 cross slab protected by glass shelter. St Orlands stone, near Kirriemuir, Angus. Woodry stone, from Woodry, Angus, now at Museum of Scotland, Edinburgh. Class 3 The Camus Cross High Cross near Carnoustie. The Darplan Cross High Cross at St Surf's Church, Dunning. Dunblane Cathedral, Dunblane. This Class 3 stone was found in the foundations of Dunblane Cathedral during restoration. It can be found inside the cathedral. Sunos stone, Forres, 6.5 meters high cross slab dating from 9th to 10th century protected by glass. Collections. Dunrobin Castle Museum, Golspie. Collection of over 20 Class 1 and 2 Pictish stones collected by the Dukes of Sutherland. Elgin Museum, High Street, Elgin. Large collection, largely from Canada Churchyard. McManus Galleries, Dundee. Collection of Class 1 and 3 stones. The Methven Institute, Forfar. Magel Sculptured Stone Museum, Magel, near Forfar. Museum of Scotland, Edinburgh. Montrose Museum, Perth Museum, Perth. Collection of 3 Pictish stones, St Madoes 1, Insular and Gelliburn. Pictavia, near Brechin. St Vigian's Museum, Arbroath. Collection of Pictish and medieval stones. Includes the Drossen stone, a Class 2 cross slab, one of only 2 Pictish symbol stones to carry a non-ogham inscription. Key from Arbroath Abbey, a key holder in village. Gallery of stones.